welcome back to Retro Tech Toys. Today we're going to check out 3DSEN. This is an emulator for the NES, but it's a special emulator. It takes compatible games and it makes them look 3D. This is available on Steam for $9.99 right now. It's an early release, so there are going to be some bugs. Right away I can tell you there's a touch of lag between my controller and the game itself, and I don't know if that has to do with the computer I'm playing it on or if it's just because this is in early stages. But as you can see, Legend of Zelda is the first thing we're checking out, and it looks amazing. Look at that spinning effect that they put on the sword right before he goes and grabs it. And if you watch when he shoots the sword, it spins a little bit too. So that's really neat. The monsters all look really cool. Everything looks great. Like I said, there's a touch of lag, but with a game like Legend of Zelda, it's not going to mess with me playing it too much. Look at that rippling water. That's awesome as well. I'm actually going to walk up to a dungeon so you can see what the dungeons look like. They look pretty amazing. I spent some time tinkering around with this before I decided to do a video because I wanted to see what everything looked like and I wanted to kind of get a handle on it. Now, there are a list of compatible games that you have to go check out, and you can run those in 3D, and they're available on the website of the developer. And anything that's not compatible, you can still play it in 2D, and it does look kind of cool, and we will check that out a little bit later. But look at this dungeon. The walls look super three-dimensional, and everything just kind of comes to life and really pops. I really like how this looks, and it's hard to improve upon The Legend of Zelda, as it's my favorite game for the NES, but they seem to do a very good job of it. I could see myself beating the game in this 3D mode, and I try to beat this game at least twice a year because I enjoy it and I love playing it and I love coming back to it and I never get tired of it. But yeah, it looks fantastic. All the doors look like, they have height. The walls look like they come up around you. It really does give you a feel that you're in a dungeon, which, the original game does a pretty good job of that too, but this just takes it to a completely new level. And I think that is just fantastic. I'm getting ready to wrap up playing Legend of Zelda because I want to show you a bunch of other things as well. And also, I just wanted to let you know, I don't really show it off in this video, but there are a ton of settings that you can tweak. You can add controllers. I used a bunch of different controllers. I used a PlayStation 3 controller, and I ended up settling on my 8BitDo N30 Pro because it's my favorite controller. And the lag didn't really matter between controllers. It was the same. I just like this controller a lot, and when I mention that lag, it's not that bad. It's just very slight, and I don't know if other people are experiencing this, but I experienced it, so I wanted to mention it. Here's Castlevania. Castlevania also looks really good. I think the 3D is a touch more subtle on the backgrounds, but it still looks amazing. The ground looks fantastic. The candles look really cool. The monsters look really good. Just the ground itself, it really makes you feel like you're kind of like there a little bit, I also wanted to say, like, some of the heroes and other sprites, if you rotate it the right way, they look like little rubber pencil eraser versions of the characters, which I thought was kind of cool. I like that a lot, actually. So yeah, Castlevania plays really well. It looks really good. And I'm really hoping that the list of compatible games continues to grow, because I think it would be really cool to play a lot of really bad games in 3D to see kind of how it changes them up. And if the compatibility list grows to the point where I can do that, I'm absolutely going to do it on a future video. And I'd like to get finished up here with Castlevania so that we can get ready to move on to a couple of more games here. Just to give you a feel of what 3DSEN looks like. And I've been waiting for this to come out for months because I really wanted to play it. Like, the NES was my first system that made a huge impact on gaming for me. It wasn't the first system I ever owned, but it was the first one that just kind of blew me away, you know? And seeing the games represented like this is awesome. I also would like to say that the developer did not contact me to do a review of this. I've not been compensated. I got this myself on Steam, and I've just been enjoying it a lot, even if there are a couple of little bugs here and there. But for an early release, there are relatively few bugs. And Contra also looks fantastic. I think the 3D effect is really cool. Look at that kind of running water going through the rocks there, and the ground looks nice, and they just did a really good job with Contra, I think. And this is just one of those classic games, and of course you know they were going to make this one compatible. This is one of everyone's favorite game, basically. So yeah, it looks great. It's not overdone, it's not overstated, it's just right. Let's go ahead and finish up here with Contra, and we'll move along to something else. Got a couple of more games that I wanted to show you, and I also kind of want to show you what it looks like if you play a non-3D compatible game in 2D mode. Alright, Ghosts and Goblins. This is another one of my favorite games, and as I may or may not have said before on my channel, like, I'm always lucky to make it past the first level. But it's one of those classic games, man. I've loved this game since I was a kid. This game used to scare the crap out of me when I was like, what, 6 or 7 when it came out for the NES? I don't remember. But it used to scare me to death, but now I just absolutely love it. It's so freaking difficult. Again, they didn't overstate the 3D here. Basically, the monsters look really cool, and the ground, which, let me angle this, the ground looks really nice. And I meant to tell you all that you can angle this however you want. You can even flip it around and look at the game in reverse if you want to. It's really neat. Alright, now let's check out Super Mario Brothers. That was one I was really wondering about. Look at how the mountains and everything sway in the wind. That is really cool. I think the 3D effect is used really well here. I think it seems like they concentrated really hard on optimizing Super Mario Brothers above several of the other games that we've played so far, and it really shows. It looks wonderful. Plays great. Like I said, there's that little touch of lag, so it's a bit difficult to make any kind of precision moves, but that's alright. Just as long as we get to see what everything looks like, I'm happy there. And look at that. Look how awesome that 3D looks. Just everything just kind of comes to life. The floor, the walls, the platforms, the warp pipes, everything looks so cool. This and Legend of Zelda might be my favorite 3D games for this emulator because they just look wonderful. Let's go ahead and finish up World 1-1 here, and I'll give you just a very quick look at the dungeon level here, the underground level, World 1-2, and then we'll move along because we've got a couple more games to check out. And it doesn't appear that that lag has gotten any worse, or, you know, for that matter, any better in any of these games that I've played. So, I mean, it's consistent, and it's not that bad, and I'm going to mess around with the settings a little bit more. I did play with a lot of things, and, you know, it didn't get that much better, if any better at all. Here's Spy Hunter. This is one of my favorite games as a kid. I've always loved to play this game, and, you know, it's just kind of one of those games that never ends. You're just playing for your high score to see how far you can get. And I thought the 3D was really nice. It really just kind of makes it feel like, almost like a sort of a next-gen version of the game. And I think that's really cool. So this is probably my number 3 favorite game in terms of how it looks and how the 3D is applied to it. My first being Legend of Zelda, and my second being Super Mario Brothers, of course. And, you know, it takes a little bit of learning to get the game just right in terms of like playing it with this 3D layer added to it. It kind of makes it feel and play like a different game, and that's not a bad thing. I'm just not used to it anymore, so I'm dying like crazy. But yeah, that's Spy Hunter, and we're gonna move along a little bit here and check out Galaga. That is an arcade game that as a kid I played like crazy. So I mean, every time I went to the convenience store down the road from where I lived, I'd always pump quarters into Galaga. So I wanted to see what it looked like on this emulator in 3D, and I'm not disappointed. It might be a little bit more subtle compared to the other games, but I think that's okay. I think that's a good thing. I wouldn't want to overdo it with this game, because I kind of wanted to have that same feel that it had when I was a kid, but improving the graphics and making it look a little bit nicer, that's not something I complain about either, and I have no complaints here. It looks great. There you go. I wanted to show you a little bit of a death scene there. The death looks really cool. And just so you know, I'm going to finish up here, but I wanted to show you that you can also play in 2D for games that are not compatible, and games that are compatible you can play in 2D as well. But here's a game that's not compatible, and I wanted to show you what it looks like. You can still angle it all over the place, and it almost looks like if you angle it a certain way, you can make it kind of look like you're playing it flat on a tabletop. And the non-3D effect is actually really cool. I mean, it looks like you're playing it on a card, and I thought that was really neat. So overall, my thoughts are this is a fantastic emulator. I can't wait to see what happens with it with future development and how it gets better. It's $10 on Steam right now. It's $9.99, so go check it out. It's available for Windows and Mac. I'm playing it on the Mac right now. That's all I have to say for today. This is a cool emulator. Go check it out. Thanks for watching Retro Tech Toys. I'll see you next time.